All right, guys. So we're back on the podcast today. We're going to be talking about Regi's experience in the Players Association, kind of a new thing coming on the minor league side. So, Regi, why don't you go ahead and open up to your side?
Yeah, I will. Appreciate it. Basically, like you said, the Minor Leagues Association, it is very new. I think it started coming together a little bit over COVID with a couple tweets here and there from like certain minor leaguers that just wanted better for other minor leaguers, especially since it was a down year. They were already debating not paying us for COVID since, Corona took us out and whatnot. Can y'all see me?
Yeah.
Oh, my Wi-Fi's tweaking. Anyway, yeah, so basically they just wanted us to get paid over COVID, and then that rolled into 2021 where we actually needed a union because we weren't being heard the same way that major league guys, like you see major league players always forcing the lockout when it comes to new CBAs, like every 5 years or something like that. I think, when was that lockout? Was that 21 the lockout was?
Yeah.
Coming out of COVID?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, basically just over guys, one, wanting to get paid, two, different service time manipulations. You know how a lot of guys get stuck in that AAA big league bridge, the teams can just carry them with them and you never really can like solidify yourself as a big leaguer, whatever the case may be. So, I mean, and that's the same stuff, if not worse, happening in the minor leagues or was, at some point. There's still room for betterment, but, us getting one CBA out the way is definitely a huge step in the right direction. But like I said, in 21, I was reached out to by Kieran Lovegrove. He was a former minor leaguer with the Angels. He's one of the lead advocates that started up minor league advocates before it was in union. Kind of started off on like a Twitter thing, just reaching out to different guys on social media. Was that Twitter, Instagram? If you just had a buddy, Snapchat, you know what I'm saying? Just telling us, telling every player in the minor leagues, what we are trying to push for. Then I know Josh Tholey reached out to me in 21. I was actually rehabbing from a shoulder injury I had then. So I was in Fort Myers, Florida. And at that time, they were coming around to different minor league sites to, what is it? Sorry. They were coming around to different minor league spring training sites, just if they could get like 3 guys from each org that they visited, you know what I'm saying? I think they hit Fort Myers, and we'd have some of the Miami guys come up, you know what I'm saying? Because they weren't just trying to jump everywhere. Miami Marlins guys, Cardinals, or whatnot, just come in and listen to what Josh had to say about there's room for real change in the minor leagues, you know what I'm saying? Like $8,000 in 2024 that we're in now is sadly, that's not going to cut it. I mean, not sadly, that's just not going to cut it. You know what I mean? On top of pay, there's other stuff that, that we were striving to get done, whether that was medical insurance, you know what I'm saying? Like that you can really get burned by the minor leagues before this on your insurance plans, guys, whether that's surgeries, whether they just got released by teams, just certain things that you wouldn't think of, but just happened in the minor leagues. But pay being a really big one, we were able to take a step in the right direction with that. I think we're getting around, call it 32, something like that throughout the minor leagues. Call it now, which is a lot better than 8. I think you were making 10 in AAA and up before 21 or 22.
Paying for housing too. Yeah.
Exactly. And housing, that's a huge benefit. You know what I'm saying? Housing, especially with having to stay in a little bit nicer hotels, that was also
minor league baseball change for sure. That's an absolute.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was 21, where we were kind of hopping on board as more so advocates, and then of the people that were just kind of kept showing up to these different meetings they were having in Florida. Then you start talking to your buddies that are teammates, like, hey, we have unionized papers now, and now we're sending out papers through email and things like that to Josh, and they're just communicating with us on what they need from us being on the ground more so, because they're jumping around from Florida to Arizona to New York working with the MiLBPA, because for us to even be considered to join the major leaguers under the PA, we have to have basically, I think it was like 80 or 90% of the workforce, signed up into the papers that were going around and things like that. So once we got that done, we were able to hop into the CBA to get us paid for last year, which was a huge benefit. It's heart crushing to see a $250 biweekly check. You know what I'm saying? So that's for sure. Okay. So I mean, definitely moving forward, that has changed things for minor leaguers to come. And whether that's the draft, free agency, indie ball, whatever the case may be. It's all a brotherhood once you step under the umbrella. And the major league guys have been a huge help in that, and also wanting us to join them. Because you got to think every major leaguer was a minor leaguer at one point. You know what I mean? There's some guys that didn't want to get involved, but we appreciate the ones that did. Jack Flaherty, he's huge and one of pushing for us to get better as minor leaguers. I actually had the opportunity to meet him when I went to Vegas. We just had a trip out to Vegas. What was it? 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2.5 weeks ago, where we met to talk about certain subjects out there regarding, moving forward plans and whatnot. But yeah, he was huge. Him, Max Fried, all those guys, very, very friendly, but just wanting the next generation of minor leaguers, because they went through some of the stuff of staying in 4 people to a 1 bedroom, maybe 2 bedroom, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what they came up in. Now we're kind of spoiled with, now we got to have our own, I'm sure everyone's been through it. If you've ever played in Daytona, Florida, what that's like, you know what I mean? So you can't even change without whatever the case may be, you know what I mean? So those guys have been huge helps, and just, like I said, there is still room for more development in this. I would hope that professional job salaries wouldn't be $30K. But a step in the right direction is definitely.
It's still something. It's still something to be able to walk away from the season and not say, "Well, now I'm in the negative."
Exactly. Because once you make $8K a year and pay for a spot, you're already.
I think that's one of the things that people really don't fully understand when they haven't gone through the life of things pre CBA. Talking about the 4 to 2 bedroom, that's my experience at pro ball. So Phillies were pretty good with it. They had you a host home all the way up till, at that point it would have been low A, but then high A you had to start paying for all your own housing. And I remember in Double A in 2019 we had a tiny 2 bedroom little townhouse. But you walk in, it's a small little kitchen, a little area right in front of the kitchen. Then in the living room, and then 2 bedrooms up top, and we had somebody in each room. And the ones downstairs were 2 air mattresses, and the ones upstairs were air mattresses too, actually, for that matter. Different life.
Tough.
Then get up and go throw 7. Get up and go.
Literally roll out of bed.
The muscles not how they used to be when I was 12. You could just throw.
Oh my! I've seen some kids just pick balls up and start throwing them, and that hurts. It hurts me watching that.
I'm jealous. I missed that.
What are some things that you might have kind of changed your perspective on in the game since you've been in the meetings, kind of hearing things? What's something that you've picked up on really listening in on all the conversations that are going on?
I mean, it would be more so that in a bad way, every player is just a number. For example, is David Parkinson, maybe, but it's left-handed pitcher experiment. You know what I'm saying? So it's that's a business. You know what I'm saying? It's more of a business than it is. Everyone that you show up to the field with is your friend. Yeah, but at the end of the day, numbers on a spreadsheet. That's how it is. But you got to enjoy what you do at the same time. You just can't go out there hating on everybody because you're competing with someone. I mean, you got to enjoy it somehow. And these guys share the same passion that everyone else does in that field. Everyone's been doing it for a long time, from when they were kids, T-ball, wherever you started, So, at the end of the day, we're rooting for everyone. But at the end of the day, again, everyone knows, you got to get to the money.
Yeah.
Got to get,
1,000%.
Also that when Major League Baseball says they don't have money, that's just
how true is that statement?
Yeah, exactly. So, it is what it is.
So, I always call you GM Reg, right?
Yeah.
So,
GM Reg.
Was that kind of a look into your future? Is that something that you actually think about doing after baseball?
Because I could definitely
you make a great representative. You're very active and and as players, we appreciate you and the other guys going out there and actually fighting for our players' rights.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it definitely is. You know what I'm saying? If y'all know me, I like doing all the simulation, moving money and stuff like that. So just having a hand in the pot to make a change for people that you guys, you some of my best buddies, you know what I'm saying? I want the best for everybody that comes through there. Like I said, we're competition, but at the same time, I don't care for left-handed pitcher to Duke. Like I know you, David, your fiance, whole nine, you know what I'm saying? You guys are real people. So I want change and betterment for everybody, so that's just something that, I pride myself on, whether that's on the baseball field or behind some computer, I don't know, computing something, you know what I mean? So that's just me as a person, but I can definitely I just talk, you know what I mean? So I just got a gift of gab, they like to say.
Fit
so
in, right?
Yeah, for sure. Fit in, yeah. So I just try to fit into any room I step into, really. So
yeah, no, it's good. It's a good way to live too, man. You get to learn a lot that way. Honestly, I think that when people aren't threatened at you, when they think that you're just actually there to listen to what they have to say, you actually hear a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And then along the way, like I said, that means I've met some really cool people too, like Dave Winfield. Just hearing what he had to say, Bobby Bonilla. Just when you talk about like hearing what people have to say, like these people's perspective on the game, it's quite different. It's not quite. It's really different.
For sure.
That's pretty cool.
All right. So what would you say is the most memorable thing, or like, do you have 2 or 3 points that really stuck with you in that experience with the MiLBPA?
Of going out there to meet those guys, or just the whole.
I mean, like, overall, whether it was something how you just said, like listening to the perspective of MLB, like greats and everything, or just something that you noticed actually being with the Players Association, seeing how they conduct business, seeing their view or perspective on minor league baseball or baseball as a whole.
Yeah. I would say for me, since I'm such a fan of the game, sometimes it's easy to get mesmerized by the greats, and that's me. I'm a sucker for I had to stop Dave Winfield because I was like, I'm sorry, I hate to be that guy, but like this is the only time I'm gonna ever see. You know what I mean? Like I just I want to hear what they have to say about not even if their mindset can relate to today's game, but they were part of what we grew up on. He was a superstar before we were maybe even thought of. You know what I mean? So he was the Mike Trout, the Shohei at the time. So just hearing how they treat the game and how they still care for the sport, I think that's a really cool experience because, some guys will just put the cleats down and don't even want to give back to the community, whether that's helping his neighbor's kid out, try to hit or whatever the case may be, just kind of step away from it. But some of the guys that truly enjoy doing it, him and Bobby Bonilla, like I said, 2 names that were just kind of very active with some of the young guys, I guess you could say, with the minor league, where the minor league players weren't necessarily treating us different since we haven't been in the room, before. So we're just taking the time to speak with every single person, acknowledge you as you come by, even share a tidbit or two. I'd say that's a really cool experience. And honestly, dude, my mind's blown every time they call us together or whatever the case may be, because it's like just sitting at the table. You know me, I talk a lot, but I don't have nothing to say when I'm out there. I just be listening, because it's like, what am I supposed to what am I supposed to say? So
For sure.
Yeah, so that's mind blowing every time. Anytime, when Tony Clark came on, he's the head of the MiLBPA. When he came on a Zoom, we were on, and he was just saying how the game has changed. That we're changing the game with this new CBA, and just hearing things like that, it sounded like a movie. You know what I mean? So, and then to see it actually come out on Twitter and things like that, I was like, oh, so it's kind of real.
I remember actually speaking on that. I remember because that was during my year off. That was when I had my stuff going on, and I remember I got an email. It was like that same thing. It was the sign the paperwork to join a union, and I'm sure that you both remember prior to that happening, so you heard the word union. Nope. Nope. No, I'm not going to talk to you. Exactly. At the end of the day, you hear the horror stories, right? You heard about the past where the guy mentioned something and it wasn't the top name prospect, and it's like, oh yeah, well now you're released. And it's like, okay, well I'm not really ready to sacrifice my career for that. I remember texting my buddy who was still playing. I was like, hey, just got this notice. Is this thing real? And he's like, I don't know. I haven't signed it either. And then he went out and started asking a bunch of people. And then it's like, hey, it turns out it is real. And I was like, all right, cool. And then I ended up doing it. But
no,
that was,
that's completely understandable. I can't tell you of my buddies, in our org.
Yeah.
I hit up from probably it was the first time I sent it to them, and they were like, "Are you serious right now?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So everyone.
We had a lot of group conversations.
It's a too good to be true thing, It's like
sure.
No way, this isn't right.
Yeah, no, we legit had a group of 30 guys just in the clubhouse. We were like, all right, are you signing that? I remember that though, because it was just oh wow, we're actually about to be considered as somewhat people. And there was going to be change. Yeah. But it was just we actually had more value than we expected. And so, just seeing how things would turn for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. But I remember, kind of talking about, what you were just talking about, Brennan. Do you guys remember that, something or a term or verbiage they used to use was paid intern?
Yeah.
That's what I see. I'm like, okay, I'm actually a worker now. Cool. I'm working. Good to know.
For sure.
It's I'm not an intern anymore. Okay, cool.
We have a True.
That's the one I do remember. Yeah.
No, I do feel that. Oh man. All right. So what would you say? Since I could ask both of y'all, we all got drafted at the same time. So what has been y'all's favorite change from back then to
housing?
Yes.
I don't even have to wait, dude. Housing. The headache.
I'm not homeless.
Oh my God, the headache of. All right, 2019, you break camp. I found out 2 days before I broke camp where I was going.
Where you were going.
Then when you get into your spot, so we get to Reading, Pennsylvania, you have 3 days in a hotel to find a place to live that will take a short-term rental that's on a month-to-month, and you can cancel on a month-to-month. Then on top of that, furniture. So it's like everybody's like, all right, you got 3 days. 3 days, that's not that much time. I really can't find that. Oh, and on top of it, if you're lucky, you have a car. So, if you don't have a car, what do?
Did y'all know in the new CBA, this is why I'm bringing my car too. If you bring your car to Spring, they have to ship it to your affiliate.
I didn't hear about that, but I know they are finally paying us mileage.
Bring it to Spring, and then if they don't give you the option of driving, they got to ship it.
Good to know that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And now I told you why I'm driving.
Thanks, GM Reg.
Exactly. GM Reg, bro. That's why you're you. Only guy in a polo. Look at it.